Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Jordan with Westwind Honda. Today we have a 2019 Honda Ridgeline Touring Edition in white, and we're going to take this out for a little spin while I tell you a little bit about the history and its unique Wikipedia page. All right, now let's look underneath the hood. Underneath the hood, we got a 3.5 liter V6 engine with 9-speed transmission. This was the first year of that 9-speed. Popping out a whopping 280 horsepower and 262 pounds per foot of torque. Right behind this Honda H, there is actually your sensor for your adaptive cruise control to make sure that you don't run into any cars when you have your cruise control set. Up there, we have our updated camera system for the lane keep assist system. And down here, we have our available 18-inch alloy aluminum rims. Now, come on back here because this is when the Ridgeline gets super cool. We have a dual action tailgate that not only opens sideways, but it also opens just like your regular truck like that. But that's not it. In here, we also have an in-bed trunk that can hold 300 pounds of your crap in here, along with a drain plug to fill this thing with ice and drinks and make this the dream camper's vehicle. Last thing right here, we also have, it feels like I'm opening a treasure chest. We have an available AC outlet in case you need to plug in a cooler, a speaker, anything like that while you're out camping. Now, the stuff outside here is super cool, but it's not as cool as the stuff inside. So come on in, let's take this for a drive. All right, and then in here, we got some pretty cool stuff. Because we're in the Touring, you get all the bells and whistles. You get the full leather package, but you also get things like this is driver position memory seating. So when you enter with your key, it'll automatically pair up your seat. If your partner enters with their key, it'll automatically pair up with their seat. And then it also has onboard seating, which will move the seat all the way back and all the way down whenever you put it in park and open your door to make it easier to get in and out. Once you're inside, I like to start things in the center console and work my way up. So let's look in here. In here, super duper spacious. You get this hidden compartment in the back for your phone, any devices, or your registration. A USB port, a regular car outlet port. And then up here, you have your shifter, which you can shift also into a low mode down here if you're ever taking the West Side Hill. And then right here, this will actually switch you between traction control modes. So you can go normal, snow, mud, and sand. You have a heated seat, a cooled seat, and heated seats in the rear for the rear passengers as well. A CD player, this is one of the last years that they had a CD player in it. And then 3-way climate control. So I get a climate in the driver's seat, you get a climate in the passenger seat, and the kids in the back, they get a climate as well. Infotainment, that gives you all your navigation, Sirius XM radio, FM radio, Apple CarPlay, and then of course Bluetooth. The steering wheel is one of my favorite things on pretty much every Honda vehicle because the way that they lay it out is just so user-friendly. It just makes sense. All of your adaptive cruise control and everything's on the right side. All of your media stuff is on the left side. And whenever I just need to do it while I'm driving, I don't even need to look. I know where it is. Now, you also have a heated steering wheel. You have a cargo light for the back. And then you have the button to turn your AC outlet on back there as well. Now, I could talk forever about everything that's in this car, but honestly, you guys would have to come in for the quiz and it's worth half your grade. And I don't want to do that to you guys. So why don't we just take it for a drive and we'll treat this as a practice run. All right, so the first generation of the Honda Ridgeline actually came out in 2005. And in 2005, when someone asked you, like, what is a pickup truck? Like the easy staples of like, it has a bed, it can tow, that kind of stuff. But the biggest thing is where can it tow, can it haul, and does it have a V8? Under the hood. Honda, they didn't have any plans for making V8 engines, anything like that, but they had an insane amount of plants for their V6 engines that they already had in the Pilot. And then when they were coming out with this new truck, they wanted to kind of corner the market because everybody was coming out with V8 engines and everything like that, and they were all body on chassis. They also wanted this new Ridgeline to look drastically different from any other truck on the market, so they made it incredibly boxy. They had a giant Honda logo on the front so you knew who made it, and because of its unibody design, there was no separation between the cab and the bed in the back. So if anybody sees a picture of one of these first generation Ridgelines, you can see that it had kind of a ripple effect into these smaller truck designs. Like even the Tundra has the same type of design as the Ridgeline. And then they did have a second generation that came out that was not that different from the first gen. They did just some minor cosmetic changes. Nothing really changed with the engine or the transmission. And then came the third generation, which is actually what we're currently driving right now, is the third generation. The third generation, they didn't change anything engine-wise. They still rock that 3.5 V6, even to this day. But it was late in this generation in 2019 that they switched over to the 9-speed transmission to have it feel a little bit zippier than the previous transmission that they had in there. But they still had those core mindsets in mind. They wanted to create a truck that was like nothing else, which if you drive one, you sit in one, it still feels almost like an SUV on the inside, drives almost like an SUV. But when you look at it, it looks physically like a truck. And to be honest, like I have a lot of people who they turn their noses at the Ridgeline when they come in looking for a truck, but I also meet a lot of people who they buy a truck just for a daily driver. It's becoming less and less popular as we can see these gas prices going up, but the people that are just getting a truck as a daily driver and they're not really hauling, or maybe even hauling only one time out of the year to go camping for May long, you don't need that giant truck. Like, it could be useful, but the Ridgeline's not only it can haul, it can tow a little bit if you're just needing to, say, bring the quad out or attach like a toy hauler or anything like that. It can tow that. And then it still has a truck bed so you can load up lumber. And then that in-bed trunk in the back, you can fit a surprising amount of stuff, and it has a dedicated lock as well. So it's funny enough, my brother, he actually, he builds houses. And what he does is he just keeps all of his tools in that in-bed trunk. And he said that he even caught somebody looking at his truck, almost trying, like as if they were trying to steal something. And they stopped looking at his truck before they noticed that it had that in-bed trunk. So people just look at it and they think that it's just an empty truck, you know? But no, the Ridgeline, it can suit a lot of people's lives, and people I just don't think realize it. And then we are now currently in 2022. It's the first year of the fourth generation, which they did huge cosmetic changes to. I won't go super in depth since we're just dipping our toes into it right now, but we will be doing a full video on the 22 Honda Ridgeline. Check that out on our YouTube page as well. Or come on down to the showroom. We got one with an HPD pack right in the middle of the showroom, so come check that out. All right, now that we got everything else out of the way, we got the features out of the way, the history out of the way, we can talk about what I really wanted to talk about, which is the Ridgeline's Wikipedia page. Now, I know that might sound weird that I really want to talk about that, but it's really unique and really interesting, and it just exemplifies the type of customers that Honda wants to care about, to make vehicles for, and like, it's a really give and take from both sides. So we're going to talk about McChisel and his infamously detailed Honda Ridgeline Wikipedia page and how that all came about and why. All right, so McChisel. Now, if you go on the Honda Ridgeline's Wikipedia page, you'll notice that, honestly, when I first heard this story, I went, and it seemed pretty short. But what it does is it gives you a little blurb on each generation, but each generation has their own dedicated Wikipedia page. And what's on these Wikipedia pages are anything from like the gear ratios to the towing capacity to even how much weight the roof can hold on it before collapsing in. They have they have like all of these like diagrams and everything. Like an insane amount of depth went into detail for the Ridgeline for being honestly just a regular commuter vehicle for daily driver people. Normally you don't see that type of detail unless it's like a sports car or like a really complex big truck. But the reason the Ridgeline has such a detailed Wikipedia page is honestly to thank the one guy and a Honda Ridgeline forum to help out. So this one guy, McChisel, he's a 40-year-old Virginia resident with a 2009 Ridgeline RTL that he uses to tow his boat. He originally got into kind of like researching the Ridgeline when he was going into one. He was jumping down from a larger vehicle and was honestly a little bit scared to go into something so small and thought it wouldn't be able to do the things he needed it to do. But the thing that he got blown away by were these little thoughtful things from Honda, and that's like directly from him. These little thoughtful things like the dual action tailgate, the in-bed trunk storage, that just showed that Honda was really thinking about the customer and what they actually needed. Because the customer who's buying a Ridgeline, they don't need to tow 8, 9, 10,000 pounds. But it would be nice if they can throw a bunch of stuff on the top of their truck and get to site, right? Now, McChisel, he started searching on the Ridgeline forum, and he found that everybody on that forum was complaining about how the Wikipedia page was blatantly giving out misinformation. Well, being an open source data collection, that happens, especially when there's a smaller community like on the Ridgeline. Now, McChisel, he actually works for the United States Department of Defense, and he is very familiar with a system called Intellipedia, which is like a intelligence software similar to Wikipedia that they use. So he said, I can do it. So he went on to every single Honda press release about the Honda Ridgeline. He transcribed things from those press releases. He went on YouTube videos and brought those onto the Wikipedia page. The Wikipedia page now has over 200 references because of McChisel. And there were even points where he tried getting diagrams directly from the press releases, and then Wikipedia said, no, you can't use those. So he had to put in hand-drawn drawings of these diagrams. He even made like GIFs showing the center console of the first generation opening and closing and showing how to properly use that. Now, it's just super neat and super awesome, and I love that, like, a community, let's be honest, it's smaller with the Ridgeline. A community so small, but so passionate about the product, we're able to create one of the most detailed Wikipedia pages on any commuter vehicle that there is. And I don't know, there's something about that it's special. And then I love the Ridgeline with a lot of the stuff, like the drive just feels really comfortable for me. And I normally don't like driving trucks because I find that you can't really see anything. I find that they're not as responsive. I'm used to driving a sports sedan, so they're not as responsive as I like. But the Ridgeline having this handling like an SUV, I like the interior. It feels a lot homier than a truck does. And these windows are huge. So like shoulder checking, I can see pretty much anything. The rear window, it's just as large as a regular truck rear window, but that three-way backup camera definitely helps out. And it's pretty quiet. Now, is that helpful from the insulation underneath, the insulation under the hood, the active noise cancellation inside the car, the sound canceling windshield? Windshield actually has acoustic glass in there with a little bit of gel in between that absorbs sound waves so they don't get into your car. But who knows? It could be just a combination of all of them, but it's a pretty decently quiet ride. And if I were driving a truck, I would probably be driving a Ridgeline. Thank you for joining me on the drive of our 2019 Honda Ridgeline Touring. Come and check it out in person if you want to take it for a drive. I'm sure it'll be on the lot, not for too long though. And then just below, please just give us a like, subscribe, hit that bell to get notified of all of our videos as they come out. And if you look in the link description, you can see the link to our Facebook page, as well as our brand new TikTok, which we'll be posting a bunch of content to in the time coming. So make sure you hit all those buttons, follow the directions clearly, and then come see us next week for Test Drive Tuesday on our next vehicle. Talk with you soon.